Welcome back to Temper Tantrums Podcast. I'm Brandy. My co-host is Wes here. Siblings talking about our lives, the crazy ups and downs, and the stories that came along with it. We are on episode 2. Hey, hey.
Hey, hey.
And
Oh.
part 2 of our timeline. Shout out to John for being our internet wizard,
What's up?
recording, editing, and doing all the things. Um,
You're like Gandalf.
okay, so last episode left off at the motel that we lived in for a while. Now we're going on to the 1998. Hey, when
Hey.
we moved into a fancy Nancy house. This is like the biggest house we've ever lived in.
Yeah, which is really crazy that we went from a one bedroom crack motel that was just like on the side of a freeway to like a
Like
coved
a fancy.
in neighborhood with like our next door neighbor was a cop.
We had a
and
porch swing.
We had a porch swing and everything like that. How I think we got that house was like a friend of Dad's. So like one of Dad's friends was moving to Colorado or California or something like that. And he needed someone to like kind of watch the house and keep up with the house while they were over there. So we rented their house while they were out. And that's how we kind of got that luck into that house.
We brought Cat and Shug with us too.
Yeah.
So they stayed with us for a while in that house. They moved in there with us and everything like that. So it was super exciting. Mom like started working at FedEx during that time too. That was like a godsend for us, really, for starting that job.
Yeah, she started making some pretty decent money working FedEx. I know that I got in trouble because me and my friend found a spray can behind the house. It was just like a red spray can, and I remember we spray painted the back of the fence. Yeah, and my friend, I didn't know at the time, but drew a gang sign with the spray paint,
We live
and
next door to the cops.
lived next door to the cops, so the cops saw the gang sign.
And wasn't it
Come to,
technically his fence? Like our
come to
fence was just
find
like,
out,
Oh
come to find
God.
out, it wasn't our landlord's fence. It was the cops' fence.
Oh God.
That the guy drew the gang sign with spray paint on.
yeah,
So I got my butt busted for that.
yeah,
Me and that person quit being friends.
yeah. That was not good. That was a nice house though. The first night I think Dad and Shug like were so excited. They went and got us like some pizzas to cook in the oven because like we could finally cook pizzas in the oven. We had an oven for the first time in
We
like
had
a
an
year.
oven. That
Yeah,
was I remember that being a big thing. Like Mom almost kind of like breaking down into tears a little bit, being like, "We
yeah,
have an oven,
yeah.
guys. We have an oven."
We didn't have a fridge for a little bit. We had to use coolers,
Yeah,
but
but
we
we
had
were
an oven
using that was fine because we were using coolers in the motel
motel.
room. So
Hmm.
it really that wasn't really a change. Like I said, like it was a godsend to have a stove.
Yeah, yeah. We weren't there that long though. Did they move back or something and we had to move out?
um, I don't know. At that time period, like things were still kind of like, you know what I
Messy.
mean, sheltered from us. You know what I mean.
Yeah.
So we didn't really get a lot of the full story of that.
That's
But
true.
yeah, we did have to move out. There was a reason why we had to move out. Either they came back or we couldn't afford payments anymore or something. Something
After they
happened to,
moved out, because they moved
yeah.
out and got their place. But after that, we moved to the blue house out in the country. This was like probably like the best one. Like it wasn't the best house, obviously, but like it
For
was just like
you, for
for
you, it
me.
was one of the best ones.
What, not for you?
Not for me, no.
But so I guess the only reason why it was like so good was because like we had been so cramped, I guess, in like the motel and everything. And then like we go and we move out to the country because we had been in the city. And so like we moved out to the country and we had like this little house on all this land. And we
Hmm.
could finally like get a dog.
It was blue, like so blue that, and it was out in the country that, like in the spring and summertime, ladybugs would flock to that house. Like, I mean, cover it to where you would think that it was orange. That's how many
Yeah.
ladybugs would flock and cover this house. They would be inside,
Oh yeah.
outside.
Mama's
Ladybugs
constantly flipping.
bite. I don't know if you know that, John, but ladybugs bite.
I don't remember that. I remember us getting our wolf dog.
Yeah, they were part German Shepherd, like almost like 3/4 wolf.
Yeah.
Uh, two of them. One was a bandit
Good.
and
Smokey. Smokey and the Bandit.
Smokey and the Bandit. I hated those dang dogs.
I love,
Hated them.
I
They
love,
the
but
only like
I was,
they were. I mean, they were wolves. You
yeah.
know what I mean? Like, and it was my job to feed them. You know what I mean? And we kept them outside on tethers. And as a young kid trying to feed wolves, literally sucked because
Okay,
they're
but they
aggressive
kept the
feeders.
coyotes away.
They kept the coyotes away. There was never a rabbit in our yard because those things would chase down rabbits. Like
Yeah.
there would be, you would wake up and have rabbit fur
Hmm.
all over the yard. I
Yeah.
mean, all over the yard. And we had like two,
I
three
was a little
acres.
traumatized. Yeah, we had there was a couple of acres. It was probably just like 1 acre, but it felt like several acres to us
No, no,
probably.
no, no,
But
no, no, no. It was several acres. It was several acres. Believe me, it was several acres because that's where Josh was learning how to drive, and he was driving all over there because I had
I
that back
know.
part with that tree around there,
Yeah.
and we would get in the car with Josh, and he would like drift around the yard and all that stuff.
Mhm.
You can't do that on just 2 acres. Like
That's true.
you,
I don't know why anyone thought it was a good idea for all of us children to get into the car with someone who doesn't have their driver's license and drive around doing donuts in a field. But we did. I remember hanging on to like the door, like with my head almost flinging out the window, like being like, yeah,
do
but
you
also
remember the
terrified at the same time.
Do you remember the big bonfire that we had out there? That Dad
Hmm.
had the big party, like the very first time. Like I think it was right around when we first moved there. We had all that land, so we invited everyone out there, and I'm talking about 50, 60 people out there, just in a big old bonfire. And we had hay. Someone brought a trailer, put
Hmm.
hay all around the trailer, and we had little hay rides
I feel like that was
around.
Dad's friend, like Tony or something like
Yeah. And then someone fell asleep in the back of that trailer. And how they woke that person up the next morning was they were doing Josh donuts with that trailer and the person in the back with all the hay, just going around that fucking field with the truck and trailer. And then they'd turn around and then the dude would just wake up and he'd just be like, and just hay would just be sticking out everywhere.
that. I
What
swear,
happened?
literally,
What happened? What?
he was probably hungover like crazy because everyone was drunk. Everyone was like, yeah. Three
That's
sheets to the wind, basically.
that was the house that you had your rabbit, Chi Chi.
Did I have Chi Chi there? Because I know we got the ducks there.
No, we had ducks and we had a rabbit because we
Okay,
had to clean out that cage. Oh man, that rabbit cage.
okay,
Don't
the rabbit
don't
cage
get
was
rabbit.
terrible. 110%. Don't get a rabbit because they're gross. But
Uh,
also,
even
like,
even more, don't get ducks. Like,
ducks. Yeah.
would rather have a rabbit over ducks.
Didn't you name? I know I named mine like Precious, and you named yours like
Ash.
AJ. Ash. Okay, Ash. Yeah.
Yeah. But ducks, oh
We
my
got those for
lord.
Easter.
We got them for Easter. Something was wrong with your duck.
I
Its
know
leg, its leg or something, it had like a funky leg.
it died.
We kept
Oh,
we kept them in a laundry. No, no, no. It was a
No, it was a
recycling
recycling bin.
recycling bin.
Yeah.
And oh my God, they would stink and
A-
quack.
And we kept them in our room. So that's
We
why it was
kept
like,
them in our room
oh no.
with
we
the
have
rabbit
to.
cage. Oh,
Yeah,
it was. Ooh,
it's not the best.
ooh.
Okay, but that house, listen, I remember like, of course, like our parents had parties like all the time, but I remember this one party, like all the adults were drunk and stuff, and I was like standing in this like one of the kitchen chairs in the living room singing like Witchy Woman from the Eagles, like living my best life, okay? Living my best life. But there was also giant wolf spiders out there that were terrifying. That one was like as big as like a butter dish, like a I don't even know. It was
Oh
huge.
yeah, just
Yeah, it was huge. Spiders? No, no, sir. No, sir.
I couldn't deal with that. That's too much. That's way too big.
Yeah,
That's like
mom
being in
painted.
Australia.
Oh yeah, it was terrible. Mom painted like the kitchen like bright yellow and bright blue. Remember
oh,
that?
yes. You would. Oh my God, in the morning, walking into that kitchen was just looking into a sunbeam. I swear, it was just like oh, it burn your retinas a little bit. You know what I mean? Like fuck a cup of coffee. Just go into the kitchen for 10 minutes. You'll be fucking wide awake.
We got our first trampoline there.
Yep.
We had it out there. Austin broke his leg.
Austin broke his leg. Pretty sure mom carried him from like in the middle of the field where we had that trampoline all the way back to the house.
Yeah, that was traumatizing.
Yeah, and he like, I mean, he shaded fraction,
He shattered
shattered,
his ankle.
shattered it. I'm talking that
He was
thing.
in, yeah, it was nasty, nasty. But you know what? He broke a lot of bones. Like every summer, he was breaking bones. So maybe he just didn't drink enough milk. I'm gonna say that's his fault. Okay, he should have been drinking some
Put that
more
on that
milk.
man like that.
He should have drank more milk. Okay, like strong bones. He wasn't lactose intolerant. But yeah, so that was, I mean, I did love those dogs just because they were very protective and I felt safe with them, I guess, maybe. But
I didn't feel safe at all with those dogs. Trying to feed those dogs, they were so food aggressive. Like they would like whenever you're trying to like feed them or try to like get them away for a little bit just so you could like set down a pan or something. I just remember them just like they would clamp on my wrist and they'd be like, look at me, like mother trucker, like they could
drop
have
it.
had me. They were telling me like I could have you if I wanted to. Like, and as a kid, that's scary as hell.
Hmm.
It's for a regular dog to do that, let alone knowing that this dog has like
A wolf. It's a wolf. I remember Bandit got hit by a car and he like survived. Like I remember like someone coming up and like knocking on the door and being like, I hit your dog, and dad going down and picking it up and carrying him inside, and like we kind of like babied him, but he was fine in like 3 days.
He was, yeah, but he wasn't the same after. He was kind of a meaner dog after that.
Yeah, yeah. And then we moved and we let them off into the wild.
Yes. Yeah. Well, they were that was dad's excuse. What well before that, uh that was also the house where that real bad car wreck happened. Mom, Aunt Dawn, and Josh went down, and
Mhm.
Josh kind of like seen that dude and everything. And I know like that's where like Josh kind of like a starting path, not like a starting path, but I know that messed Josh up for a little bit.
Yeah, it was a really. I don't know why our family thinks that every time there's a really bad car wreck, like we got to go check it out or something, or like when something bad happens, we need to go fix it.
Like,
Like
yeah, like
no one was a doctor or a nurse in our family. Like no one had life saving like any kind of technique for this. And for some reason, they all thought like had a hero complex. They had to go save people. Every single one of them. I don't know why, but they did. I mean, that's great and honorable and everything. However, like I'm sure it caused them to have some nightmares.
yeah, but okay, so back to Bandit and Smokey, what you were saying that like we just like kind of like just left them off in the wild. That was like dad's kind of like reassurance to us that he was good, that they were going to be okay. So I remember us being like, "No, there are dogs. We can't just do that." And Dad being like, "Look, they're wolves. All right."
Yeah.
He's like, they're going to be higher on the food chain. Don't worry about them.
Because they did hunt. They did hunt while we had them.
Yeah, like I
So
said,
I
there
think
wasn't a rabbit that stepped foot on that plot of land that didn't make it out without a scratch on it. Because we could have made some like rabbit fur money there for a little bit
it
off
was
of
bad.
them just
Every
getting that
time we get
rabbit.
off the bus and like walk up to the house, like there would be another rabbit carcass right there. It was terrible. Rabbit
Oh my
skin.
gosh. Good
Yeah,
thing they
because what
breed
they do,
fast.
they would shred it. They would shred the rabbit, right? The rabbit fur would just be scattered all over the field, and then they
Jeez.
would bring the carcass up as close as they could to the house.
Like
Like
So
here
trying
you
to feed
go.
us.
Yeah, like
Like
here,
or
eat
being like,
this.
look guys, look what I got for you.
yeah,
Yeah.
Well, at least they're trying to take care of you
They
guys.
they did. Oh, in that house there was that massive Roman candle fight that 4th of July. Do you remember that?
yes,
All the
yeah.
adults had like Roman candles. Listen, I remember hiding on the porch, like 1 foot in the door, 1 foot out, like as everyone's getting shot with Roman candles. Didn't you like go out in that fight too?
I got hit in the head. I got hit in the back of the head with one.
Was that from Grandma?
I think so. Yeah, because that was the time where Grandma got a Roman candle and she got all of the kids around her, like in a circle, right? And
Oh
she was
yeah.
like, "Let me show y'all kids something real fun." And she lit the Roman candle and we like, "Ready? Ready? Y'all better start running." What? Poof, 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 poof.
I had never seen a Roman candle before. Now I'm still scared of them. Like we go to John's house, like his parents' house, or 4th of July and stuff, and it still makes me like jump. Like every time one goes off, I'm like, oh, no sir, no thank you. I'm not doing that today.
Grandma's like, "If you can dodge a Roman candle, you can dodge a ball."
That's how we won all the dodgeball tournaments as a group. No.
That's some real training right there.
Yeah, so we learned a lot of survival techniques. One, how to survive being carjacked because you just hold on and pray for your life. Um, Also, how to survive a Roman candle fight, or if you're getting shot at. I think those are the same things. Like both of them are going to blow you up. So we know how to
How to live
survive,
with wolves.
how to run with the wolves. Oh my
Is that like
gosh.
dances with wolves?
But
Yeah,
run with wolves. Because they would run with
Yep.
us though. They would. Like we would go out and we would run all the way to like the other end of this big field and get on the trampolines and they would run with us.
And the to refer back to John's dances with wolves, that's our other dog, dances with donuts. We'll talk about her later.
Dances with donuts.
Yeah.
That was Sophie's Native American name, Dances with Donuts.
Exactly. Okay. Moving on to 2000. Woohoo! We moved in that house slash trailer. Like that house was like cut in half and had a trailer kind of attached to it. You remember that house?
Mm-hmm.
It was blue.
Yep.
Our neighbors all hated us
Because of the house, or
because we were
No.
wild.
oh my gosh.
Because we were wild. And because like we had cookouts and played loud music and the
Live
grown-ups
life.
got drunk and like it was just loud. We had a bunch of kids there all the time. So like I said, like Kristen, Steven, Ryan and Josh, like we were always all together. So there was always a crap ton of kids everywhere. And then we'd make friends with like the neighborhood kids and they'd all want to come over to our house and hang out and just like play outside and be wild. So
I'm trying to remember that house.
this is the house that
What's
remember grandma let me drive the van and I was like 6 years old and she let me drive it down the road and I got stuck in the ditch. I was like 6. Um that's also the house that I remember Juan moved in with us.
that's okay? That's Juan's house. Okay, that's the house with Juan.
The Juan's
Yes,
house.
I do. Okay, I remember that house now.
Yeah.
That house, we stayed there 2000 and 2001.
Yeah. 2000 to 2001. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that house, I remember that house because um, before Juan came, was it before Juan or was it after Juan? Okay. So we moved into that house. I got yours and mom's room. Yours and mom's and dad's room was on the other side. Mom and dad's room was kind of onto that other trailer that was built on,
Yeah.
right? Because it was
Yeah.
like a step down.
Yeah. And it like kind of went into the laundry room and there was that really big gap in the like floor. You kind of had to jump over it a little bit.
Cool. And then your room was in the back, the bathroom, living room, the kitchen. My room was on the opposite side of y'all's, and it had its own little bathroom. Like it had just it was a one seater with a sink, and yeah, that it was really cool because like we finally got like our own room because we haven't
Yeah.
had our own rooms there for a little bit.
Yeah. We had to share a room in the houses we had lived in before.
Yeah, so up until then, we finally got our own rooms, which was really cool. I had my own bathroom, which I thought like I was just like
You were just
in
like
my kid.
king. You were king.
I was a king. I had my own room. I had my own bathroom. Like I didn't have to
Right off
leave.
the kitchen.
The kitchen was on my side. I wouldn't have to leave. The door, the going into the house. I wouldn't have to leave my side of the house unless I really, really, really like needed to. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I mean,
And we got a PlayStation that year. Remember we got like a PlayStation that year from Uncle Andy and Aunt Robin? Like they gave that to both of us for Christmas and you took it into your room and told me I wasn't allowed in there and I couldn't play
Oh my
yeah.
god.
it. That also
I didn't
happened
tell
to the
you you couldn't play
Nintendo
it.
that Grandma got
Hold
us.
on. Time out. I didn't tell you you couldn't play it. I told you you couldn't come into my room. It just so happened that the PlayStation was in my room.
How come?
Oh my
Okay, but how
god.
come everything that was like both of ours, like we got to get together, we had to share it, always ended up in your room, in which I couldn't go to? Guess what? every time you went to Ryan's house, me and Steven snuck in there and played WWF on wrestling on
Oh,
that PlayStation.
I know. You know how I know? Because costumes would be changed, names would be changed.
We
No
would
one,
get you some stars and stuff, okay? We were
don't,
good.
don't tricking nobody. Whenever
We
Rey
were sneaky.
Mysterio, whenever Rey Mysterio has your favorite color on it, Steven's favorite color on it.
I don't know how that happened. I have no idea how that happened. But
uh,
yeah, like that was cool. Like we had our own rooms and I still had Chi Chi in that room. Chi Chi was in my room. That's the rabbit, by the way. He was so loud all through the night. I would just hear him scurrying and drinking his water and stuff. And I'm just like,
that was also the Christmas where that grandma got us your keyboard and the Kenwood
stereo.
Pioneer stereo
Yeah.
that I loved. I loved.
I left my keyboard too. I was really big into like NSYNC and Britney Spears and I thought that I was gonna be a star. I thought I
Yeah,
was gonna write my music. I wrote my like I started writing songs. Like I thought I was gonna be a singer. Didn't happen.
we,
But
we all kind of did, to be honest with you. That's the reason why you started getting instruments,
yeah.
right? Like,
But every single one of them, I lost them.
yeah.
I tried. I tried so hard to be a musician. I did. Um, yes, that was but then Juan moved in. So my dad has such a big heart, like we said before. He would literally take off his shirt, the shirt off his back to give to somebody who needed it. Like big heart, hugest heart. He's a giant man, but a giant teddy bear at the same time. And he
We
would randomly bring people home.
we used to have a running joke. Uh, uh, Me and mom kind of used to have like a running joke between us. We would be like, "Yep, Brandy would bring home stray cats and dogs. Dad would bring home stray people."
Because we have that same heart. We just want to save everybody and everything, okay? Dad was like, yeah, man, I got a couch you can stay. Like, you ain't got nowhere else to stay. You come on. Like, he did that all the time, though, with like random people. He just had a big heart.
Yeah,
And
so
Juan was a character.
Juan was a character. He didn't speak very much English. I got kicked out. He took over my room. I got kicked out. I was staying like either on the couch or in your room,
And I
right?
would get the couch or have to sleep with mom and dad.
Yeah. Or we would share like your twin bed
Yeah.
sometimes. Uh,
Okay, because I was scared, like random people, and one kind of creeped me out though because he would randomly bring me presents. Like
yeah, I remember that. Like you would
I
get
would
like a
randomly get Barbie.
dollar store Barbie, and like I wouldn't get anything. It's just
I would
you.
just be like,
Like you'd be like,
I
you'd be
was
like,
like,
"Hey, Brendy, I got candy." I'll be like, I like candy." Like,
yeah, I was like, what, 7, 8 years old, and I'm just like, thank you. I don't know what to do here. Like, thank you so much. Like,
it was very awkward,
yeah,
and a culture shock too, because like he would make food and stuff like for us too. So like we would have like meals and stuff that we wouldn't normally have. Like dad was a real big barbecue guy. He loved to like smoke his meats or cook out on the grill all the time. So usually that's if especially on the weekends, like that's what
oh
we
my
would
gosh, every weekend,
have.
yeah.
And then mom kind of usually would make meals throughout the week, but it was just like throw together kind of meals where Juan was like making fried rice and like making like
Like fish and chicken and stuff like that, like
yeah,
slow
but with
cooked
like
marinade.
spices and stuff that we would never like have encountered
Yeah,
without Juan.
yeah. We had a lot of like education.
I learned a lot of cuss words. I know how to cuss someone out only in Spanish. That's the only words I know in Spanish.
He was nice though. He was nice, and he never like stepped out of like, stepped out of boundaries. I mean, there were some things that were questionable, but like nothing like crazy. But yeah, and then that house, like, um, oh my gosh, we used to go to the creek. Remember? In the summertime, we went to that giant creek.
Oh, it was Cat and Shug
Yeah, and
with
then
the rope
like,
swing.
yeah, the swing, yeah, a rope hanging from this tree, and people would swing off of it into this creek. And like the water was so clear at this creek. It was beautiful. Because, okay, we're used to being like inner city Memphis. And so we're moving out to this country, like Millington area. And we're like, holy cow, there's creeks. Like, let's go play in this creek. And like, it was way down. Like, you had to go down all these like man made stairs out of like the dirt to get down to it. And of course, like I'm terrified of heights, and I was a scaredy cat. I was a kid. I still am. But everyone else was swinging off of that rope swing and swinging off into the creek, and I was terrified. But you almost got bit by a snake.
I almost got bit by a water moccasin there. Kristen took to that rope swing like no other.
She was like
Like,
Tarzan.
dude, like she would just like would outdo some of the adults on that rope swing, especially with the height that she would get. Not only that is like she would go and then go right back up there. I mean,
Yeah.
not like and would just keep on doing it. And I was
Well, she was
like,
a kid. Like she had the stamina, to keep on going, and everyone else was like, dang.
I
But yeah,
remember
I'll
just
never.
like watching Kristen at that age, being very impressed with that. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember though, Dad being like, "Get out of the water now!" And that's like him like hitting the snake away from you and
Yeah,
like
and he
pushing
grabbed me,
you.
pulled me.
Yeah, yeah. And that was crazy. I don't think we went back to that creek after that, but
No, what finally did it was is that we didn't know that there was a tree that was cut down in the middle of that creek, and
oh,
someone went off the rope swing and hit the stump. Yeah, that's the reason why we quit going back.
okay. Then we moved from there. We moved to the townhouse down on Macon. Remember that townhouse? That's the one where like your appendix burst and everything, and you were in the hospital and had to have surgery.
Yes.
A lot of
Do
stuff happened in this townhouse.
a lot of stuff happened in that townhouse. So my appendix almost bursted. Uh, I remember being like my stomach hurting for like a good week and a half, and like missing some school. I remember like mom and dad questioning on if I actually like was faking to get out of school because at that time, like me and school, we weren't connecting. To be honest, like me and school never really were, but me and school wasn't really connecting very well. Uh, I was, I think I was like going through some stuff, like at
We
that
had just,
time,
yeah, I think we had just moved back from the city, and it was a lot.
and so uh, that 9/11 just happened too. It was right around 9/11. That's kind
We
of
had
the reason
headlights.
why that's kind of the reason why we moved out of the trailer and moved closer to that townhouse. That townhouse was just like right across the street or like right down the road a little bit from where Aunt Dawn and Grandma was staying at the time,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. We could walk there. We did walk
So
there.
I think that was kind of a reason why we moved out of there was to get closer to Aunt Dawn and Grandma, just in case, anything crazy like that ever happens again. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I was kind of like going through some stuff then. So like mom and dad wasn't really knowing if I was faking or not. Then once like they actually took me to the hospital because it went on for like a week and a half. Uh, we got there, and they gave me like MRIs and stuff like that to check my insides. And first they came back and told me that I had Crohn's disease, that they thought it was Crohn's disease. And that was right around the time that Uncle Chris got diagnosed with Crohn's disease,
He
right?
had some surgeries. Yeah.
He had some surgeries and stuff like that. And I knew about that. And so, like, in my mind, I was like, holy crap. Not only am I going to have to live with this the rest of my life, but I'm going to have multiple surgeries of getting my intestines, cut and stuff like that. And then, like, as that's
They
going through your
transported you,
mind,
right?
what's that?
They transported you, right, from the med down to Le Bonheur?
Yeah, they transported me from the med down to Le Bonheur. Uh, that's where Le Bonheur did another like check, and they came back and says it's not Crohn's disease. We actually found appendicitis, and it's actually about to burst at any time right now. We need to get you to Russia medical surgery. And at that time, they put me on morphine. That was the first time that I was on morphine. Whenever they gave me morphine, like the thought of Saving Private Ryan kind of went through my mind. Just because like that's what they gave the dude right before he died. And
Yeah.
then and then
He's like,
so
I
like
ain't coming out of here, guys.
yeah. But to be honest, like morphine was crazy. As I was like kind of like sleeping and stuff like that, mom said that like I was laying in my bed, right? Kind of asleep, and all of a sudden I just started making like kissing the air, like I was trying to make out with somebody in my dream.
What are you doing?
Morphine's a hell of a drug, okay?
Yeah. I remember visiting you in the hospital, and Grandma had gotten you those big, like, bullfrog balloons.
She got me 3 bullfrog balloons,
Yeah.
Bud, Wise, and Earth,
Yes.
that I remember taping up on my
Your
walls.
wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I remember I got a little teddy bear. For some reason, like before they took me into surgery in Le Bonheur, they take you into this room and you get to pick a prize before you go into surgery, right? So like you go into this room and there's like board games, there's stuffed animals, there's all kinds of stuff that you get to choose from. But you're on drugs when you go into this room.
But what do you decide to pick on drugs?
I picked a cute teddy bear. That's what I felt like I needed at the time.
You needed that comfort.
Needed that comfy little teddy bear.
No, oh my God. I remember you coming home and like sleeping on the couch forever. It's like you had to be on the couch because you couldn't go up the stairs.
Yeah, I couldn't like really move at all for a little bit. Eating was crazy, like but yeah,
That was before they did it like laparoscopically. Like they like cut you open, like
oh
cut
yeah,
you.
I still have that big of a scar
Yeah.
on my stomach.
We told everyone you got stabbed.
Yeah, that was my running gig for like a good 5 years. And I'd show people, look, I got stabbed.
Yeah, he's so cool, man. He survived a stabbing.
Oh
Don't
my
mess with
god.
him.
I
Yeah.
got street cred off of an appendix.
They don't know. They ain't got his medical history. Oh my gosh. Also in that house, that guy broke in.
The guy broke in. I don't know very much about that. I slept through all of it. So if you want to go into
I wish I slept through it. I wish I slept through it. Because I'm like in like third grade at this point, and like I just wake up to mom and dad screaming, and mom is just screaming like, Tom, Tom, someone's breaking into the house, someone's breaking into the house. And like screaming, call 911, call 911, like everything. And like I'm in like a princess nightgown, and I'm like scared. I'm like creeping out of the wall, like out looking out because it was like a townhouse and it was 2 stories. And I remember like creeping out. I looked in your bedroom, you were still asleep, so I just shut the door. And I like went downstairs and after the screaming stopped, I went downstairs and like I could see all the flashing lights of the police and everything like that. And I go out and like they've already got the guy like in handcuffs and stuff like that. And he's in the car. And like I remember seeing him in the car and like him just looking like he wanted to kill us, basically. But from what mom and dad said, he broke into mom's car first and like stole a bunch of her like FedEx gear. And then like he was trying to break into the back through the back window, which is like our dining area, like off of the kitchen. And Josh was living with us at the time, and he stayed up late, like drinking soda and like because that's all he drank was Coca-Cola, and so he was wired all the time, and he was playing video games. And Josh heard him like opening the window and like trying to get in, and like he went and grabbed a butcher knife and like was like, "Come here, mother effer," da da da, went wild on him. And that's when like mom and dad woke up and like when like when mom and dad got downstairs, we had like a refrigerator in the backyard area because ours had gone out
Mhm.
or something to replace it. So we had like an old fridge back there. This dude like was Spider-Man and standing up on like the back fridge, I guess, with Josh like, come here, mother effer, with like the butcher knife. And dad being the sensible guy he is, okay, calm down, guys, calm down. Like, just come on down. Like, which is
Let's
totally
stop
like,
the
if
situation
you,
now.
if you know our dad, like, he's usually like hot headed, like temper. So he's just like sensible, like, just come on down. Let's just talk about it. And mom's like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, he's trying to break into our house, like, and so like they called the cops and everything. Wes slept through the whole thing. He didn't even know about it until the next
Oh,
day. Yeah. The guy went to jail. Apparently he was high on something, but I know when like dad said that like they had to go and like to court and press charges and everything like that. And whenever like for some reason the officer put like the guy and like dad and Josh in the same elevator going up to the courtroom, and the guy was like, when I get out of here, I'm coming for all of you. Da, da, da. And like dad said, the officer like slammed the guy up against the wall of the elevator and was like, shut the hell up and everything like that. But, and then, so after that, dad went and got granddaddy's shotgun, and we had a shotgun like right next to dad's bed for like the longest time. But that's terrifying. So it was scary. It was really scary. Like, because he's like, I'm going to kill all of you, that kind of thing. So that was a little wild.
that the pipes bursted in that house.
Yes, the pipes, it got so cold. Like that was the first time we ever saw snow, I feel like in Memphis. Like,
Mhm.
and like it got so cold that the pipes burst and like the downstairs was carpet. And so like they came in and removed all the carpet, but they didn't put anything else down. And they
Yeah,
just left it concrete. Like, and so we just had concrete downstairs. Like for the rest of the time we lived there, I feel like. And it
yeah.
was Christmas time. We still had like we had concrete. We had like our Christmas tree and then like the tree skirt and concrete. That's what we had. I remember Wes ruined Christmas for me that year. He was like a mean big brother and opened all my Christmas gifts in front of me and told me what they were, even though I asked him not to. Um and then he told me that I had a bike in the attic, and he went in the attic and told me what color it was. Uh, this year, Wes tormented me. Okay, he also every time I would cook something, like I was obsessed with Campbell's vegetable soup, and I would have that like whenever I came home from school and stuff. Like I would make that because our parents wouldn't be home for hours, and because they had to work. Wes decided one time to go get a bottle of Tabasco and pour almost a whole bottle of Tabasco sauce in my vegetable soup, lit my butt on fire.
No, not only that, is that we would also get into the fights into the kitchen right there. And it was a very small kitchen, maybe like 2 foot width of the
Yeah,
kitchen
it
from
was
like,
like a galley kitchen kind of thing.
yeah. And we would argue right there by the stove, and the pantry door was right there by the stove and by the wall. And we would argue and we would knock into the pantry door. And
Okay, hold on. We would knock into the pantry door. No, sir. No, sir. This is not. Oh, we would argue, and somehow we just fell into the pantry door. No,
it just
this
so
is what
happened.
happened. It just so happened we would knock into. No, we would argue. Wes would get mad because Josh and his friends would be sitting at the kitchen table antagonizing, being like, "You really gonna take that? You really gonna take her saying that?" Because I was mouthy. I had to be dealing with all of you. And so um Wes would drop kick me and I would go flying into the door of the pantry and the door handle went into the wall
Twice.
twice. I feel like I'm the victim in this circumstance. Again, I was drop kicked into the door. But I got in
I
trouble.
remember, oh man, we got beat so
The second
bad
time.
for that.
The
Yeah.
second time.
Well,
Okay, but the first time we had to write
we had to write
sentences, remember?
sentences. I forget, it was obnoxious the amount of
500,
how many times.
500 lines.
500 lines. And it wasn't just like, I will not, I will behave. It was like a sentence or two. I will, when I
I
am
will
at
not
home. And,
fight my siblings.
yeah, when mom and dad are not home, I will not fight my siblings and knock holes into the wall.
Yes. Okay, okay. But again, little Angel Brandy, okay, wrote all of her own sentences. Wes paid our cousins to write his sentences. With what?
Smart
Like
man.
soda or candy or something? Like, did you even pay them? Or did they just do it out of the kindness of their heart?
Well, they were given something for doing sentences for me. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I wrote all of them. And then guess what?
I think I only had like $5 in like quarters or something like that I gave to Steven and Ryan to help me out.
Yeah.
Wouldn't they have like different handwriting though?
Well, Wes's handwriting is like chicken scratch.
But
Wes's handwriting is like chicken scratch, okay? So like this took us days to do, by the way. And so my handwriting is big and kind of bubbly, you know, but Wes's is like small and chicken scratchy. So if you wrote small and chicken scratchy, like they're just gonna chalk it up to, oh, that was a different day, like he worked on that a different day or something like that. But I did mine all on my own because I was terrified of getting caught, and getting worse punishment. And Wes got away with it.
I did get away with it. Because we did it, like I said, we did it again, and then we got or I did it again. The hole got knocked into the wall again, and then we got our butts beat. Like we wore bruises
Bruises.
from that. Like
That was pissed.
that was
Yeah, yeah. I did get drop kicked into the door again. In another hole. Because Dad had just patched it though. Like Dad did construction and stuff and contractor work, and he patched it and everything himself. And it wasn't like a month later, and Wes drop kicked me again,
No, it was only a week.
and oh,
It was a
okay, a
week.
week. So it just dried, and Wes drop kicked me again, and I went into the wall, and then we got our butt busted. We got some bruises on that one. But Dad told us if it happened again, he was gonna beat our butt, and he's a man of his word.
Yeah.
Had some bruises from that event. It was fine. Fine. Yeah. That townhouse. I think it had some demons in it. I don't know. But from there we moved to Helene. This is like right
Helene.
outside like the ghetto is where Helene was. It was like one road was like to the ghetto and one road was like to the old neighborhood. Like an older people's neighborhood. So it was like nice because it was like older people. But like you went like a block and a half and there's Piggly Wiggly and gangs around. So it's like remember? Yeah. Kristen and Steven came and lived with us there. Oh, and Josh lived with us too in the backyard.
In the back, so it was a really nice house. I think this was the nicer of the house, even nicer than the other one that we lived in after the motel.
Really?
Yeah, I just think that
Maybe it's my lack of doors that made me like.
Yeah, I think maybe that. I also think that Helene was an older house, and the one that we came right out of the motel, it was almost just built. Like the paint still kind of smelled fresh on that house. I think it was just a newer house.
Yeah.
And also, I think there was a lot more space for us in that Helene house. It just felt smaller because there were so many people in that house.
Okay, so Helene, so you like that house better?
I
You and
just think,
Steven.
I just think that it was a nicer house, just because like I don't know, I think it was better insulated, just because it was an older house. I think that it was structurally built better than like the new. I just think that the other house, it was so new, and it was us getting out of a single room into an actual house that made it
Yeah.
more grander than maybe what it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the Helene house, it was pretty big, and Josh lived. There was almost
like a hut. It was
like
like
a
a little
hut.
hut.
Yeah, he had his own apartment out there almost. The only thing he had to come in for was to use the bathroom and cook if he was going to cook. But most of the time, he was just eating Taco Bell at that time, I think.
Yeah, Taco Bell and McDonald's.
Yeah.
At that
Talk about
because
the poops.
yeah, and he had like air conditioner. I think he had a mini fridge out there too, like anything he could want. And like you and Steven shared a room, me and Kristen shared a room, and then mom and dad obviously had a room. So
Yeah. Yeah, that was the house that we started KWF at, Kids Wrestling Federation,
yeah,
and
on our
someone.
in someone else's backyard on someone else's trampoline.
Yes. Yeah. Tanner was that kid's name? Tanner? Tyler?
Taylor.
Taylor. So yeah, Taylor was a kid that lived 2 doors down.
He didn't have any
And
friends.
he did have a friend. It was the kid that lived across the street,
Alan.
Alan, that had the
He
sister.
he turned into my friend though, because we were in the same grade.
Yeah, but they were friends too.
Oh.
And then we joined them because they had we found out that they had the trampoline. So we
Yeah,
came
but
over and started playing a lot with the trampoline. He also liked wrestling a lot, and he had action figures. So
yeah,
I got along with him.
he had
And
a
then
little swimming pool.
yeah, he had a blow up swimming pool that we could play in. And yeah, one year we started KWF. We charged people to come. Like we
My
had
kid,
what?
Watch kids fight.
Yeah, to watch kids fight. And like I remember we had a book. Like we had like matches, like this was gonna go on first, this was gonna go on second, this was gonna go on third. What I remember is like the first thing being like a battle royal kind of thing, and sending you, Kristen, and Steven out there, but neither one of y'all wanted to get out. You know what I mean? Like neither one of y'all were cool with playing wrestling, but like whenever it comes to either taking the pin or getting thrown out of the trampoline, no one wanted to take the fall. So
And
I
then it
remember it
turned
just
into
like,
real fight.
huh?
Turned into
No, it
real
didn't
fight.
turn into a real fight. It was just like, all right, this is going on way too long. Like even in my kid brain, I was just like, okay, this is going on way too long. We're gonna have to
Yeah.
do something.
Yeah, because you were like going into sixth grade and like you had all these plans. Like you had every match set up. Like you mandated that book. Like you're the one that wrote things out and had everything planned. And we just kind of showed up and did whatever you told us. You know what I mean? Like we were there for the entertainment, basically. We would hide in a shed. I remember like we would hide in a shed and then like
we would have
we
to
would
like
get
we would
announced.
have to so like whenever it was your turn, you would have to like go out the door shed, which was the entrance, put your CD in the boom box, go to the number, hit play, and then run back into the shed and wait for your music cue to hit to come back.
Listen, we did what we had to do, okay? We did what we had to do. I feel like it turned out great.
didn't didn't he have like a brick of like bottle rockets left that we tried to use for like fireworks?
What did you say? I was getting a call from somebody. I don't know who it was.
Didn't he have like a brick of bottle rockets left from like 4th of July that we tried to use for like fireworks? My if memory correct was correct, I think he had, or one of us had, like a brick of bottle rockets left from a 4th of July that we even tried to use as like fireworks for our entrance too.
Listen, we tried a lot, okay? We really wanted to get this up and going. We just
that
didn't have
year,
a.
he also like, because of him we got into the fair for free because we worked for his grandfather.
Yeah, his grandpa had like that stand there, and like we
They
went and
sold,
saw them there.
yeah, they sold pinto beans, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. The fair is big in Memphis. It's like the Midwest Fair. It's huge. We we went almost every year for mom and dad's anniversary.
Yeah, that was kind of like how they celebrated their anniversary. Dad was really good at the carnival games, especially the
Dark.
before it went digital. They used to do the hammer with the weight to go up, and Dad knew the secret to the original one. Now they're all digital, and they're all with LED lights and everything. But with the actual weight, Dad knew the trick and would hit it every single time. So like we used to get pretty good stuffed animals. That and the guess your weight or height. Dad
Yeah,
would get them almost every time with the weight.
yeah, that's
Like
true.
no
And
one
then
could guess Dad's weight.
no. And then he did really good with the darts too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did good with those. And then like you and mom would ride the roller coasters, and me and dad like we would ride like that big ship one that was like a swing kind of like.
Oh, oof. Yeah, I know what you're talking about on that one.
The
That's
Spaceship 2000?
No, like the pirate ship.
the one that
Oh, the
swings
pirate
back and
ship.
forth. Yeah.
Okay.
Because me and
Yeah.
dad didn't like the other
And
ride.
then mom was still working at FedEx at that time, right?
Yeah.
So there was not only did we get to go to the fair that year, but also Liberty Land would let FedEx families have a day at Liberty Land. where you
Mhm.
could go and just like ride all the rides at Liberty Land. And if you don't know, Liberty Land is like a theme park in Memphis that stays in Memphis all year round. Like,
I think it
and
closed down now.
oh, did it really? Oh man, that's sad. I used to love Liberty Land. But Liberty Land and the fair would be connected whenever the fair would come in. So it almost like double to triple the size of Liberty Land to make it like this big thing. Oh, that's so sad that it oh man, if it
Pretty
closed, because the Zippin' Pippin was so fun. One of the oldest wooden roller coasters. Elvis Presley's favorite ride. I remember me and Austin rode that thing 15 times in a row one time. Uh, and then it had what was the white metal roller coaster that did the loop? But they had a metal one that did a loop. Mom hated that one because she always hit her head all the time, bouncing
Yeah.
off of the corkscrew.
Because she's
It
so
was the
short.
Liberty thing. Yes, because she's short.
Yeah.
It's a luck she made it on the ride, really.
Yeah, she almost didn't meet the height requirement,
Oh
but
my
it's
god.
um
She
but
wore
yeah,
tall shoes that day.
tall shoes. You know, when those like high platform like flip flops were in style.
Oh my god.
Not really.
She's
That's not
gonna kill us. She's gonna kill us.
she is. Anyway, back to Helene. It was a good house. We were left unattended a lot, like especially during the summer because our parents worked, you know, and like we didn't have childcare and stuff like that. And so our childcare was Josh, and he was usually like sleeping the whole day because he was up all night, and so we were on our own. And it was really hot in Memphis, and so me, Kristen, and Steven were really hot one time, and we decided to dig a swimming pool with spoons in the front yard. We like
Yeah,
dug,
they
dug it.
dug a 3 foot wide, almost a foot depth hole in the middle of the yard with spoons.
We did what we needed to
Teaspoons.
do, and then we put a tarp down.
Wait, hold on. The landlord lived like just down the street, like maybe 4 houses down was where the landlord lived. And here are 3 kids with teaspoons digging this hole.
Yeah. Hey, it
That's
was a good
also
swimming pool.
we need this.
We got in a lot of trouble. We got grounded, well, for the rest of the summer, but it really only lasted like a week because they're like mom and dad were tired of it. So
They're like, get out. Get out.
Me and Kristen fought like cats and dogs there. Like
yeah, you did.
that's where like almost like our relationship, me and you became kind of cool with each other, and then the focus went with like me and Kristen at each other's throats.
Yeah. Kind of, until they moved out. But before that, Kristen, like, okay, so my aunt Dawn moved to California to kind of start there. And like Kristen and Steven lived with us until like she got everything started and they could move out there. And so like Kristen like was having a hard time with this, obviously, and she would get mad and slam the doors. And so our bedroom had 2 doors. Like it had a door going into the kitchen and then a door going into the hallway. And my dad was like, keep slamming that door, it's gonna come off. Well, she kept slamming the door, and both of the doors came off. So we didn't have any doors for a long
Yep. That was the house where y'all had you, Kristen, and Steven each had a female cat, and each one of them got pregnant,
Yeah.
and they all had 5 kittens
Yeah, like a week apart from each other.
a week apart from each other. They stayed in the carport. Again, the landlord lived 4 houses down.
They're
And
afterbirth.
do you remember Dad? I'm sorry. What?
I was saying their afterbirth stained the carport.
Oh yeah.
It
Oh
stained the carpet.
god.
Listen, I will never forget like Steven's cat, its name was Sweetie, and it went into labor. and Steven like laid her on her back and was like, push, push, like like he was in like some kind of Lamaze class. Okay, we didn't know what was going on. We're in like fourth grade, okay? No. But I was like, I don't think you're supposed to do that. I don't think you're supposed to do that. Yeah. And I was like, just let her be, let her be. And then she like gave birth. They were all healthy. She survived it. It's fine. Um, but yeah, and we had a lot of kittens, and then they got attacked by some animal. We don't really know what it was, but it was attacked, and so a lot of the kittens died. My cat died, like defending the kitten. So it was a rough time.
And then we still had I mean, there was still a bunch left, probably like, what would you say, at least 15, 16 cats.
No,
Cats
because
and
there was
kittens.
only 15 kittens. So it was like we maybe had like 6 left after the whole. Yeah, because
No,
it attacked one night and then it came back another night
okay, yeah.
and attacked.
And so after that, Dad was like, "We gotta get rid of them."
Yeah,
So do you remember how we got rid of them?
Dad put him in a laundry basket and took him to the pet port.
No, 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 no. The first way we tried to get rid of them.
Oh, we tried to come down to the McDonald's down the road
Yeah.
and tried to give him away.
So Dad was like, "Go get rid of these kittens." So what we did was we got a wagon, right? And we put the kittens in the wagon.
Where
And then,
did we get this wagon from Taylor? Because like we did not have a wagon.
I'm pretty sure, yeah. I'm pretty sure Taylor probably helped us with this journey.
This adventure.
So, so we put all the kittens in the wagon, but we didn't have anything to put the cats in,
Yeah.
right? But we did have a bread box. There was a wooden bread box that we stuffed these 2 female fully grown cats in. Okay, thinking that was a great idea. And then we walked down to the corner of this busy intersection, downtown Memphis, like right there by McDonald's, right? Trying to give away these kittens, right? And I just remember every time like we would try to give one away, or like someone would come up and get one of the kittens, you just see the bread box to the side just go.
I think I blocked that part out. That's my memory, to be totally honest. It was all like so traumatic. Like I didn't want to give away these kittens. I wanted to keep them. They were our babies.
The McDonald's people were like, "Yo, y'all can't be giving away kittens out on the street."
We used to go. So this is when they had like dollar big and tasty burgers. Do you guys remember that? Like we would go up there all the time and like get a big and tasty burger and like a cup of water. That was all the time. And they're like, you guys can't come back here.
Y'all can't come back there. We would
Yeah,
almost like harass the McDonald's people. There was nothing else to do.
we were respectful. I feel like we were respectful. We just were hoodlums, and so they were like, get these kids out of here. Where are their parents? But yeah, on Helene, we also met Dennis. I mean, our parents knew Dennis because they grew up with Dennis, but like we didn't meet Dennis until we saw him at the Piggly Wiggly with Dad that one time. And
So
he came.
sorry, just to give a little backstory on Dennis, just because I know a little bit more. I know that he was Ricky's friend. That's how Ricky was our uncle. He died before we
Mom
were
was six,
born.
Mom was 16 when he passed away.
Yeah, in a car accident. My first name is actually Ricky. I was named after him. But Dennis was friends with our uncle Ricky, which was Mom's second oldest brother, because Jeff is oldest, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So her second oldest brother, Ricky, they were friends. And so Dennis was just a little bit younger than Ricky. How I understood it was Ricky had a group of friends. You know what I mean? He had kind of like a clique that he hung around with, and Dennis was the youngest of the clique.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? He was just like the young kid who just hung around with these guys because they were older and cool.
Yeah, like he was more his dad's age.
Hmm. Yeah.
And so like and Ricky was like I think he was like 21 when he passed, 20 or 21 when he passed. And so and our parents were 16. So yeah, I think Dennis was like he might have been like a couple of years older than dad, like
Mhm.
maybe a year or two. But yeah, and like they all grew up in the same area, kind of. So
And Dennis
yeah,
was tall too. He was a tall, skinny guy, like
yeah, tall, tall, skinny ginger.
tall, skinny ginger. That's yeah, yeah, real long hair.
Yes,
Had did he have a mustache or a goatee? Goatee?
goatee.
Goatee.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and like so, dad was like, "Yeah, come over, bring your beer, hang out." And so he did, and then he never left. So he moved in. He moved in with us and lived on our couch. And with him came a like 70-gallon fish tank with a piranha, a yellow belly piranha, a what was the blue one?
A
Jack
Jack
Dempsey.
Dempsey
A
and
Jack
a
Jack
sucker fish.
yeah. They all lived in there together. They
Those,
were a
that was
family.
the only three fish that would survive. The sucker fish, the Jack Dempsey had like this little cave rock that it wouldn't come out of, right? And Jack Dempsey's are named after a boxer named Jack Dempsey, which was like back in the day, Jack Dempsey was the Mike Tyson of his day. You know what I mean? Like if you think of Mike Tyson, that's Jack Dempsey. You
You
know what I
bit my
mean?
ear off.
No, no. I'm just saying, like he was just a guy you wouldn't want to mess with. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
SOB. I mean, so they named this fish is also a very tough fish. You know, they like to keep
Spider.
by themselves a lot. They like small dark spaces. Uh there's so much of a tough fish that, like Brandy said, like a yellow belly piranha was in
No,
that
it's a
fish.
red belly. Red
Oh,
belly.
sorry. A red belly piranha was in that fish tank, and the piranha would not go near the Jack
It was
Dempsey's rock.
afraid. It
The
was
piranha was
afraid.
afraid of the Jack Dempsey.
Yeah, he was a bully. But the
But
piranha was also nice. Like you could pet this piranha. Okay. Like you could pet the piranha and he would just like sit there.
we used to feed them hot dogs. You remember feeding the piranha hot
Yes,
dogs?
yes. And sometimes bologna.
Yeah,
Did it like
bologna and hot dogs.
hang on. Did it like tear it up or like
It would nibble off of it. So
ah
you would tear it off in like chunks, probably just like just like how you would JJ, how you would cut up a hot dog for JJ.
yeah,
You
okay.
would you'd cut
He's our
up or
little
tear
piranha.
bologna, and then you'd only put like two or three pieces in there, and then yeah, he would like swim around it, and then he would come up and just like take like a little, just like go up and just take a little nibble and just like swim off real quick, and then you'd come back, swim little around it, swim up, take a little nibble, and then jerk off real quick.
Okay. Yeah, the image I had in my head was just like you're putting in whole hot dogs and he's just like "Argh!"
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're on a deep throat hot dogs.
We tried to feed it goldfish one time and it didn't eat them. The
Yeah, it
goldfish
didn't.
got big.
Oh.
Yeah.
It was
It was
sweet.
really, it was crazy. It was really crazy.
Yeah, it didn't survive all of us kids though because someone knocked over a Coke can and it spilled in its tank and poisoned all the fish.
Oh.
That was a bad time. But also what they expect with a bunch of kids. So yeah. And so Dennis lived with us and
Well, that was kind of the downfall of Dennis kind of moving out and everything too, was the Coke can and the fish tank.
yeah. Yeah, because like our Aunt Dawn came home for Christmas and she like her and Dennis like rekindled because they knew each other like in high school too. They rekindled like a flame and like got together and stuff like that. So they were together and um they eventually got married and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he's a good guy. He had his issues though. He did, like everybody though. But I'll never forget him getting drunk and drawing on us with a highlighter and then trying to like pin it on each of us.
Okay, hold on. So you got to tell the hole the wall story. Let me tell this story. So this is what happened. Dennis and Dad stay up drinking, okay? And probably Josh too, let's be honest. So they're all drinking one night, all right? And it was like a Friday night, okay? We go to bed.
Oh, and
right.
Grandma. Grandma was there too, remember?
I was there too, yeah. And so they all stay up drinking and everything. Well, I guess Dennis got bored. He went to the bathroom and walking either from or to or from the bathroom, he sees this like highlighter, the Sharpie, right? And so he sees a Sharpie and he goes into your room, all right, and he starts drawing all over you, right? So he puts like stuff on your knuckles, he puts like a big heart on your forearm, he
Like
draws
tattoos.
draws a unibrow on
Yeah.
you, stuff like that. And then so the next morning, right, I'm asleep, but I feel something like tickling my foot. You know what I mean? And I try to kick it away and go back to sleep, but it's just there. It's just tickling, just. So I sit up, and there's Brandy with the Sharpie, just writing all over me, and I go, "What the heck are you doing?"
I
And
was
she
told it
turns
was
around and goes,
you.
she goes, "You did it to me." And she starts showing me all this marker all over. I go, "How did I? You just woke me up. How did I do that to you?"
He also drew on Grandma, like all of her like varicose veins. He highlighted them with the blue highlighter because she was passed out too.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he was a trickster. He was a trickster.
I that at that time, Josh like started showing me like really cool movies and stuff. Like that's where he showed me what was it, The Godfather, for the first time. He sat down and he showed me, I think, Mallrats, like Kevin Smith, Clerks, Mallrats, Dogma. That's where he started showing me like Quentin Tarantino for the first time and stuff like that. So I started like getting a real, because Josh had a really crazy music or not movie collection, like along with music, but like he had Bruce Lee. I remember watching all of his Bruce Lee movies and just being in all amazed by every single Bruce, because he had the Bruce Lee collection. I remember, oh, that was really cool. It was really cool that he let me do all that too. Like, because
Yeah, because
Josh,
we weren't allowed back there.
yeah,
Like you
Josh,
guys were. We weren't.
yeah, I mean, like I said, I think like Josh kind of like, uh, well, something happened at Helene too that I think Josh opened up to me because of um, whenever we were going to school and everything. I my school, you rode the bus, didn't you? You
No,
took the bus.
I walked. I went to that advanced school. Remember?
So we both walked to and from school
Yeah, I
there.
went to that smart kids school.
Yeah. Okay. So the middle school that I was going to, we had to walk, and I had to walk past the McDonald's and Piggly Wiggly to go back home. And one day I was coming home from school. I remember crossing the road to go where that McDonald's was. It's probably like 2 or 3 blocks away from home. And a dude asking me, for like change for $1. And I remember having change for $1, going to like give him the change, and he just like sucker punching me. Just like out of the blue. And he didn't take my money. He didn't do anything like that. I remember looking at him laughing and going back to his friends over at the McDonald's, and me just like walking home, kind of like crying, walking home. But as I have to do that, I think that kid was a high schooler that got off, because as I was walking home, I also had to pass all the high schoolers that was having to go, because the city bus picked kids up at the McDonald's, and kids were using the city bus almost like a bus, like a regular school bus, right? So I had to walk past all those high schoolers and stuff like that, making fun of me for crying and shit like that. Anyways, I get home, and like I said, I'm crying. Mom, Dad's not there because they're at work, right? I don't think y'all got there yet. And Josh coming in being like, "What's wrong with you?" And being like, this guy hit me for no reason. He's like, "What?" It's like, "This dude just hit me for no reason." And he was like, "All right, get in my truck, let's go." And him putting something in the back behind his seat, him getting in the truck, and we were driving. We go down to the corner of the McDonald's, and the city bus is like picking people up, and a whole bunch of kids are getting in to the bus. I remember Josh following that bus to every stop. I remember every stop, people would get out, kids would get out. Josh would be like, "That's them." I'd be like, "No." Every stop, "Is that them?" "No." We followed that bus around at every stop until it went back to its station. And I just remember that. "Is that them?" "No." "No." And after that, like Josh kind of like opened up to me. Like he started showing me stuff, started showing me music, stuff like that. I think like he kind of felt bad for me at the time.
But didn't you see that guy and you were like, no, look, no, like you told Josh, no, it wasn't him?
Yeah. Well, like I said, Josh put something behind the seat of the truck. All right. I'm not sure what it was. I don't know if it was a baseball bat. I don't know. I don't know what he put behind his truck. I know that we were following that bus because of that. If I would have said yes, whoever I would have said yes to, Josh would have fucked their world up.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not talking about a little bit. He would have fucked their world up.
And you don't know, like, where we were. You don't know if they were in a gang. Like, you wouldn't have known, like, if they would have come back for you, like, none of that stuff. So it's like,
That it was more, my fear was more of what Josh was going to do to that person more than the retaliation of that person, because just the way that Josh said, "Get in the truck,"
mm-hmm,
and his demeanor of asking me, like, "Is that them?" Like it scared me every time that he asked me, "Is that them?" It scared me.
mm-hmm. But I
It,
think that was right after, like, that whole situation of Josh, like, do you remember when he like got pulled over by those cops and was like pulled out of his truck and like they beat the crap out of him for like no reason?
yeah,
So I think it was like right after that. So he like was already like
yeah,
on it.
he was kind of ready to go. And yeah, I mean, I remember seeing the person, staring him right in the eye. Josh asking 2 or 3 times if that person, was the person who did it. I remember telling him no, and I feeling bad that we had to like follow that bus all the way around each thing. But like I said, like I was just afraid of what Josh was going to do to that dude, like for
Yeah.
real. Like I was really afraid of what Josh was capable of doing.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Because like your school was more like rough than my school was because it was more inner city. And I was still in elementary school and I went to like that school, like that smart kid school where I was like in the advanced courses and stuff like that. Like I was in like the chess club. I was like a full on nerd. I did like I tried to learn how to play the viola. Like
Yeah, which is crazy. Like, just having a kid school so close to like I said, my school is like inner city school. You know, that was like right around the time when we had to start wearing uniforms too. Do you remember that? Like, we had to wear polos, we had to wear khakis or slacks
yeah. My
to
school, like I had to wear uniforms too.
yeah. I mean, this is like regular city schools having to wear uniforms. Like, I know like some like big cities like Chicago and Memphis and St. Louis and stuff like that. They're like, yeah, that's normal life. But other people like
It just
here in
started though.
Indiana, if you're not in Indy, like you don't wear you wear
Yeah.
regular clothes. You wear whatever you have in your closet to school. I mean, but if you go to the inner city, like you're wearing uniforms, you have to wear like a certain color polo, you have to wear slacks or khakis, there are, no holes, you can't show any, you know, gang affiliations or like anything like that. Like, and
It-
most of the time you have to wear the school colors too. You know what I mean? So like,
yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. Because I remember like with Kristen and Steven, like, we would go like on walks and stuff like that. And like we would, one time we were over by the Piggly Wiggly and we saw like these gang guys like behind the Piggly Wiggly, like hanging out and stuff like that. And we decided to like follow them and like pretend to be spies and like follow them. And like looking back on it, I'm like, how did we not die? We how did we not get caught by these gang members? You know what I mean? And it was just like looking back, it's so scary. 'Cause, like I remember seeing their guns and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And it's just like, why did I think that was okay? You know what I mean? But it's just like, oh my gosh. But yeah, and like inner city Memphis is scary.
it's just so different. Like Indiana coming, like we haven't gotten to Indiana yet, which we will, but just coming from like just like
Inner
having like that
city.
inner city, like knowing that that culture happens and exists and stuff like that, and it kind of tears my heart up. You know what I mean? Like, as a person that likes to express themselves, not just with the way that I talk and act, but like the stuff that I wear. You know what I mean? I love my skulls. You know what I mean? I love, my tie dyes. I love my baggy clothes. I love, stuff like that. And having to be wearing polos and slacks, like, I mean, I get like, career jobs and stuff like that. You're gonna have to wear slacks and stuff like that, but like, let kids be kids, you know what I mean? And it's sad that they can't express themselves just because of a situation that they're stuck in.
Yeah. I've thought so many times of like, because like when we moved to Indiana, we moved to rural Indiana. It wasn't like a city, like in Indianapolis and stuff like that. Like it's rural Indiana. So like coming from like big city Memphis to like rural small town Indiana, it was like culture shock with us. And we haven't even got there yet. But a lot of times I think of like, what would we have become if we had stayed in Memphis? You know what I mean? If we wouldn't have moved to Indiana, like I'm like it's terrifying almost to think of like what would have happened to us. Like it's just scary.
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Very, very, very much so. Very much so. Just because like we can get into it later, just but just the stuff that I got into, you know what I mean, and just like I don't know, the alcohol, has like a big part of in our lives, even though that you weren't like a big partaker in it. Like there for a little bit, like I dove like head first into alcohol, and it was just like,
Scary.
yeah, it's scary to know that in rural Indiana I can dive that much deep into alcohol. Just what I could have done in a inner city.
Inner city. And it could have gone to more things other than alcohol, you know?
Oh yeah, just because like as an
People in
outcast,
our family have done that, you know, they've gone through that. And so it's like we have that in our family, we have that addictive addiction in our family. And, you know, those traits get passed down. So it's like, and that's also what we saw our whole lives too.
not only that, but like as a person that got, you know, moved around so many times and not having like a group of friends, a stable group of friends. If we would have kept that way, especially in Memphis, you know, then I would, because whenever I went to college, like I was kind of like looking for a place, you know, to kind of call my own, you know, and stuff like that. Like have like a group of friends, like-minded individuals, you know, that could, you know, call my. I mean, that's the reason why I joined a fraternity. If I was
Hmm.
still in the inner city, you know, what's an inner city fraternity but a gang,
Yeah. We probably wouldn't even gone to college
right?
or had those experiences. I'm thankful. I am thankful that we moved to Indiana.
As much as I hated it at the time, it was definitely a blessing in
Yeah.
disguise.
Hmm. I know, even thinking back to like our little small town Indiana, like where we kind of like had our teen years and stuff like that. All the time I'm kind of like, man, I wish Darren was growing up there. Like, because we both of us don't live there anymore, but like just knowing like the safety of it, you know what I mean? Like the small
Mhm.
town, like safety of it and like how crazy the world is right now. It's like all the time I'm like, man, I wish Darren was growing up in like a little small town Indiana like that. But
But even then, Vincennes at right now is booming like right
yeah,
now. Like it's growing. So it's not gonna stay that small town for long.
yeah, that's true. I just always just want to live in a tiny little town like Mayberry where everybody knows everybody. You ain't gotta worry about nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like you ain't gotta worry about nobody. Everybody knows everybody. You ain't, you know, you
Yeah,
ain't
but
gotta worry about anybody messing with your stuff.
at the same time, like then you don't get your culture shocks like we had.
Yeah. You don't get to grow as much, I guess. But I know it's just scary right now, like having kids and like thinking about all the things that are going on in the world and it's just scary. But I am thankful, you know, that like we moved to Indiana, that we got to have that. And like we're still like on 2002, like we don't move to Indiana for 2 more years. We got, you know, like so I mean, yeah. Memphis was interesting. Interesting growing up there. I will say, however, we Tennessee is different than Indiana with like the manners and respect and things like that. Like it's not exactly the same. Like if I go to the grocery store now and I'm like about to go down the same aisle as someone else, like I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry, excuse me, and they just look at me like I'm crazy, and I'm just like, that's okay then, all right here. But in Tennessee, I've been like, oh no, honey, you go right ahead. I'm so sorry getting your way. Like you guys have a great day, you know, like it's completely different.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, Tennessee, you go down, you don't meet a stranger. Like that's the thing about the South. If you walk down an aisle somewhere, you can stop and talk to that person probably more 9 times out of 10 and sit there and have a conversation, just like y'all been best friends. Up here, like you either get a look or I mean, just saying like, oh, excuse me, like the best thing you'll get up here is an
Oh,
oh.
oh, my bad.
That's like their excuse me, like
Yeah,
pardon
that's the
me.
Midwestern, like, oh,
That's the
excuse
sorry. That's
me,
the
sorry.
that's as best we could do is an oh.
Yeah. Oh, we're not admitting anything's wrong here. We're just saying, oh.
Oh.
I say that about 50 times a day now. So I understand. But yeah, so I mean, like we have a lot still to unpack with, like we still have another house in Tennessee to go through, and then we're on to moving to Indiana. So I think this is a good place for us to end this episode, and then we'll start the next episode in 2003, living in Millington,
Yeah.
Tennessee.
Before we cut out, you want to socials.
Yeah, so check us out on the Instagram. We're Temper Tantrums Podcast. No, Temper Tantrums Pod is our Instagram. Check us out on there. Comment. Let us know what you think so far. Also, comment if you want to hear us go into any other stories that we've talked about, or just giving a little snippet. If you want to hear more about something, let us know. Or if you have any questions, send us a DM on the Instagram. Comments on YouTube. You guys just let us know. But thank you for listening to us. Thanks for coming along this journey with us so far. It's healing, I think, and it's also like it's good for us to talk about it.
Yeah, and like we said, if y'all have any stories that y'all would like to share or comment on any of our stories or anything like that comment section's just down below. Just type a few words, hit those letters, make some sentences, put some periods or punctuations in there if you want. I don't like them, but you can.
Period, commas, any abbreviations, he ain't about.
I ain't about it. Capitalizations, I mean,
It's about it. That's all I got.
but yeah, hit us up. Thank y'all again for tuning in. Much love. And we'll catch you on the flip side.